Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to look at Espeon V and Espeon VMAX. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Espeon V and Espeon VMAX have gone and been revealed. And shout out to the lovely Antoine Boulet, who not only provides our translation here, but it turns out Espeon is Antoine's all-time favourite Pokemon. So, just an extra little shout out to Antoine here. And while we're in the preamble, we might as well mention, and this could become a problem, yeah, it turns out this card can only be gotten in that Eevee Heroes Pokemon Center set, I think it's called. It's one where you get 2 boxes of the set, and you get sleeves, and you get a deck box. They release this for every set. There's always one of these. Every time there is a set, one of these boxes is released. The thing is, up till now, it's been 2 boxes and a deck box and sleeves. They don't usually put exclusive promo cards in there, and it seems like that's what they've done here. And look at the artwork on Eevee VMAX. Now, to be clear, this is the special art promo. There will be a, well, we assume anyway, a regular art version of this card. And oh my goodness, look how good the special art is. Yeah. So if we start off having a look at EVV, we got 200 HP, which is pretty standard for a Pokemon V, retreat cost of 1, which is nice and low, resistance to fighting, which is good with all of the Urshifu running around, and weakness to darkness, which I'm not sure. We all think Eternatus has just gotten a whole bunch worse with the ridiculous amount of counters which are being released. But then by the same token, we know that Shadow Rider Calyrex is weak to darkness and is looking like the best Pokemon in the game right now. So maybe that's not a weakness you particularly want to share. Now, you are a psychic Pokemon, which means you're also hitting weakness against Urshifu and things like that. So that's pretty nice. In terms of the attacks here, Espeon V honestly looks like a Pokemon V that is meant to evolve. 1 Psychic Energy, this attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon V. And the thing is, right, if you're playing a card like this, which we're only really playing to get up to the VMAX, it's nice to have a little bit of a bonus. So we're not doing a huge amount here, but it's a single energy and it's a basic Pokemon. So if you go second, turn 1, you can't evolve, you can attack, you can start getting some damage on the field, start bringing some Pokemon down to be KO'd later on. And this will remind a bunch of you about the Duskmane Necrozma, which came out as a promo in 2 separate ways. And that was a basic Pokemon that for 1 energy did 60 damage to an opponent's Pokemon GX or EX. And this is basically equivalent. Remember, this isn't going to be in Chilling Reign, it's going to be in the set afterwards. So by the time this actually comes out, GXs will be a thing in the past, and that's only going to be relevant for the expanded format. So it is just an updated version of Duskmane Necrozma, and the fact of the matter is, Duskmane Necrozma saw a bunch of play. Now, the theory with Duskmane Necrozma was, well, that's alright. I'm only using this as a little single prize Pokemon in the early game. I will transition to my bigger Pokemon later. Well, that's what Espeon V is, because you're going to transition into the VMAX. Now, as for the second attack, Psychic Double Colorless 120, it's fine, it's not good. It will get Urshifu V, but it won't get Urshifu VMAX. It is the very definition of fine. You can accelerate some energy to it using Shadow Rider Calyrex, and that is one of the huge advantages of being a psychic Pokemon at the moment. Shadow Rider Calyrex attaches a psychic energy from your hand to a bent psychic Pokemon and draws 2 cards. So you can get it going pretty quickly in that regard. Certainly this could be an easy turn 2 attack, but it's not a particularly good turn 2 attack. You'll get most single prize Pokemon, and you'll get Vs that are weak, but you won't get Vs that aren't weak. You won't get VMAXs even if they are weak. It is fine. I think the best thing about Espeon, honestly, is that first attack spreads a bit of damage around in the early game, sets up some KOs for later on. And then we get to Espeon VMAX. Now again, we can look at the artwork here, and oh my goodness, it's amazing. We have had a peek at the regular art, but come on. How am I not going to show you this amazing artwork? Again, this is just over-the-top, phenomenal, amazing artwork. These special arts over the past couple of sets in Japan, they have been properly knocking it out of the park. Now, in terms of the HP, we got 310, and 310 is fine. 310 is what we see on Victini, for instance, and Victini seems pretty good. We saw that doing well in the Pokemon Players' Cup. Looks like a real top deck moving forward. It's low, but not hideously so. Retreat cost goes up to 2, which on the one hand is a little bit sad, but remember that we're still going to have Air Balloon post-rotation, so that's alright. Same resistance to fighting, same weakness to darkness. Same psychic typing, same acceleration with Shadow Rider Calyrex, same weakness on Urshifu, so you know what? Yeah, seems pretty good. So what we have here is a rather nice ability, and the ability reads, prevent all effects of your opponent's attacks, except damage, done to each of your Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. It gives blanket protection to all of your Pokemon with energy attached, and I absolutely love it. But it also fills my heart with regret. I should probably explain that last bit, shouldn't I? You see, we had a very similar Espeon to this a little while ago, and I should have played this Espeon at the World Championships in 2012. You see, again, we're talking about an Espeon that had an ability, specifically the one from Dark Explorers, that prevented all effective attacks except damage done to each of your Pokemon that has any energy attached to it. It is the same ability as we saw on that Espeon from Dark Explorers back in 2012. And the thing is that it was in 2012, I got through the last chance qualifier, and I got into Worlds proper, and I kind of crashed. I went like 3-4 or something. But Stefan Tobacco got through the last chance qualifier with the same deck and made it all the way to top 8. The only real difference between our decks, he played a 1-1 Espeon line and I did not. And at the time we had Pokemon around like Excelgor that got automatic paralysis when they attacked, and Vanillux to a lesser extent. But you couldn't be paralyzed by an attack if you had Espeon in play and some energy attached to your Pokemon. So that sounds pretty good. And special conditions are one of the reasons, right? If you're against a deck that attacks and paralyzes or any of that, Espeon will just completely and utterly have your back and life will be good, but it's so much more than that. It's any attack that would get rid of energy. Or take something like the Beedrill, which is going to be coming soon. That Beedrill has an attack that gets an automatic one-hit KO on any Pokemon with special energy attached. Now, I don't know how good that Beedrill is going to end up being, but it certainly sounds like fun. But Beedrill cannot get an automatic one-hit KO even if you've got special energy, if you've got an Espeon VMAX in play and some energy attached to you. But then again, if you don't have energy, you don't have special energy, Beedrill doesn't get a one-hit KO, so it totally works. And that's kind of my point here. It could be special conditions, it could be removing energy, it could be automatic one-hit KOs, it could be any number of other things. Espeon is a essentially stage 1 Pokemon, a single evolution, that just sits on your bench and gives you protection from any of them. And this is one of those cool things where there'll be a bunch of stuff you are trying to protect against, and this will protect you. But then there is going to be a bunch of other stuff that you are not specifically trying to protect against. And if it comes up, you'll end up getting protection against that as well. It is a great ability that will either help you out in specific matchups or give you a whole bunch of blanket coverage just in case. As for the attack, 1 psychic, 2 colorless energy. This attack does 60 damage for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon in play. Now, the energy cost isn't amazing, but bearing in mind we are going to be able to accelerate very easily with Shadow Rider Calyrex, and I'm sorry, I refuse to believe anyone is going to be playing any Psychic deck by the time this comes out that doesn't have Shadow Rider Calyrex in, unless they either just cannot get hold of it or can't afford to have them in their deck, because Shadow Rider Calyrex is that broken in Psychic decks. So the energy cost isn't going to be too bad. But this is another one of those attacks which is in your opponent's control. Your opponent, I mean, if there's somebody like me, and they're running around playing Excadrill decks, and I know Excadrill will have rotated, I'll find something else. they're going to have like 1 energy in play. So you're going to be doing 60 damage and it's not going to work. But against those Shadowrunner Calyrex decks, which are just peppering energy down on the field, yes. Against all of these other decks with energy acceleration, maybe they're Frostmoth decks, yes. It's a little bit sad, of course, because we've just at this stage ended the reign of Tag Team Pokemon, bearing in mind that Tag Team Pokemon often wanted extra energy in order to use their GX attacks for the maximum benefit. They did more stuff if you had more energy on them. And certainly those Lightning decks with Pikachu and Zekrom and those Welder decks loved getting energy down. But there's always going to be decks with energy down, and the thing is, this adds up quickly. 6 energy is 360 damage. Well, the biggest Pokemon we've got at the moment, well, one of them, there's a few tied, is Eternatus with 340. 5 energy is 300, and that is anything that isn't a VMAX and a couple of VMAXs. Your opponent doesn't need much energy on the field before Espeon becomes a very good attacker. And this makes Espeon a weird Pokemon, because there are going to be games where Espeon does nothing. Where your opponent doesn't have any extra effective attacks, they're just doing damage, and where they don't have much energy on the field, and Espeon just kind of never is good. Espeon cannot really be a deck. However, there will be other matchups where your opponent is deliberately trying to use special conditions, instant KOs, energy denial, etc., and you literally just turn it all off. Or they attach lots of energy and you're getting giant one-hit KOs on 2 and 3 prize Pokemon, where Espeon becomes amazing. But I love the artwork so much, I'm giving it 5 Wassies. I don't think you can play an Espeon VMAX deck, but I do believe that Espeon VMAX is going to be great in a lot of decks, and honestly, it's a single evolution, and it gives you just a stone-cold answer to so many either decks that are out there or potential decks for the future, that I really don't see how this doesn't see just a huge amount of play going forward. But now it's over to you guys. Do you see how it doesn't see a whole bunch of play? How good do you think it's going to be? Let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.